صلى الله على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين والمعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أما بعد فقال الله تبارك وتعالى كتابه المجيد وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. هو الذي خلقكم من طين ثم قضى أجلا وأجل مسمى عنده ثم أنتم تمترون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. The first two ayat of Surah Al-An'am. Surah Al-An'am is among the longer surahs, chapters of Quran, and it was revealed in Makkah. And many believe that it came down all together as one surah, one chapter, all in one revelation. And the first two ayat, I will just translate: all praise to Allah, who created the heavens and the earth, and made the darknesses, I don't know the plural of the word darkness, more than one darkness, and light. ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. But afterwards, those who disbelieve, right, regarding their Lord, they turn away, or they associate partners. Ya'dilun means they take others equal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُمْ. He is the one who created you from clay, wet clay. Then He determined an ajal for you, a time of death. وَأَجَلٌ مُسَمًّى عِنْدَهُ. And the definite time of death is with Him. There are two kinds of ajal. Whenever death comes is an ajal, and the time which has been fixed by Allah that will happen is ajal musamma عِنْدَهُ. ثُمَّ أَنْتُمْ تَمْتَرُونَ. But then you stay in a state of doubt and confusion. As we mentioned last night, that the beliefs are the foundation of our lives. Beliefs are the foundation of our life. That's what gives us yaqeen, satisfaction in life. That's what gives us peace. That's what gives us the motivation and hope. The belief sits in where? Where does it sit in our existence? Obviously in our mind. Our mind is the house of beliefs. You know, we start asking these questions. Where did I come from? Where am I heading after this life? What is the path to salvation? How do I live my life so that the afterlife would be, good for me? So beliefs, are basically the answers to these questions. And they sit in our minds. Our intellect is the house of these things. And the idea is to acquire yaqeen, conviction about what is true. A lot of people don't care about it. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before He puts responsibilities on us, He makes us mature. He doesn't just, for example, put duties on a newborn. We reach a certain age where we already have the maturity, we can understand things. So there is this thing inside, which is our intellect, which is matured, to a level that we can now start asking questions, start being careful about what we believe in. Children mostly just follow what their parents tell them. But at a certain age, you start asking questions. Men and women all, The other thing Allah prepared for us before He put any duty on us is that He provided for us the Hujjat al-Zahir, the Nabi, the Rasul, the Imam, Quran. These things He prepared for us before He asked us to do anything. So there's guidance from outside, there's guidance from within. Then He said, you reach certain age now. Of course, you have been given these opportunities. Now you practice based on this belief system. So the belief system has to be there. Now, in many cases, a person is not born in a Muslim family, right? Or the family does not provide enough guidance to the person. So for every person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Hakim and Adil, and neither you nor me are God, we are not to decide. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Adil and Hakim and Rahim and Rahman, so it's in His hands. There are some people who just love to ask, for example, what will happen to this person and what will happen to that person. As if I have the answer to this, or anybody has any answer to this. We should leave some things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Everything should be left to Him, but something at least to leave, let Him figure out, because He's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's Hakim, He's Adil. But as for me, my first responsibility is to figure out what are the answers to these basic questions. This Surah Al-An'am, revealed in Makkah, talks about Tawheed, Risalat and Ma'ad. It's about monotheism, belief in one God, Risalat, Nubuwwat and Risalat, and the last of all prophets, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then Ma'ad, hereafter, Day of Judgment. The Day of the Judgment is not the only belief about hereafter. Hereafter involves a lot of things. Anything that happens beyond the point of death, everything. Very long story. Day of Judgment is obviously the day when people will be presented before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these three beliefs, regarding the first belief, the first part of the surah obviously begins, but they are all discussed sometimes from one to another. But let me mention before I move on that having beliefs is not enough. It's not an only duty we have regarding our mind. Our mind, our aql, right, is in two halves. I don't mean the brain, I mean the aql has two aspects in it, not just knowing. The other part is doing. The doing part also comes from the brain. When in the moment you have to decide what to do. So you have intellect which wants to figure out what is haqq. And then we have intellect which is called practical intellect, has to figure out what to do now. Right? What to do now, right now. What is the action? What is the decision to make? What to say? Right? This practical side of intellect. So we have aql, which is aql nazari, al-aql nazari, hikmat nazari. That means wisdom, which is more of a theoretical kind. Theoretical, I don't mean theory in scientific term. I mean figuring out what is right and what is true. For example, truth about anything. What happened really after the demise of Holy Prophet? What happened? The truth of what happened. You need to learn, study. Is there a God or not? Haqq. Figure out, is there a God or not? Is there one or two gods? Or 50 gods? How many? Questions come up in the mind. A lot of questions come up. Sometimes one question leads to another question. A lot of questions have to be answered. Why? You want to know what the reality is. Reality in Arabic is called haqq. Haqq means something that you finally figure out what it is, and it actually is the way it is outside of your mind. So what the belief you have in your mind, it corresponds, it matches up with what really is out there. Like I say, earth is round. Now either the earth really is round or is not round. If I believe earth is round and it really is round, then my belief in this earth is correct belief. So it is haqq, right? Please say salawat. The other side of intellect is about akhlaq, practical, decisions we make in our lives. Al-amal. So only belief is not enough. There are people, obviously, let me clarify this point. Some people say, well, belief alone, what difference does it make? There are others who say, well, I have belief, I have faith, I have everything. That's what counts. No, neither that extreme nor this. Belief and action both. Right? Belief and action. You believe in the truth and you plan to do what is khair. Haq and khair, two terms for tonight. Haq means what really is. Khair means the right thing to do. Khair. Khair in Arabic is from ikhtiyar. Khair, something you choose. It's the right choice. Khair is the right choice. What is the right thing to do? You know? Of course, well, someone may ask, well, Molana, doing is not is the job of the mind. Doing is part of the body. No, what leads to action it sits right here. What leads to action when you choose to do something is based on something that goes on. A moral judgment you make about a situation that this leads to, for example, what? So your niyat, in your mind, your understanding of the situation, the values you have in your mind, what the values that you have grown in your mind to that day, to this day, lead to a process which leads to action at a stage, right? Moral judgment. For some people, everybody wants to be happy in the end. But what constitutes happiness? Something that, if I can just make more and more money, I'll be more and more happy. The more money, the more happier I am. It seems like a very simple idea. But in practical life, it's not that way. But in any case, and for others say, no, happiness is what, like Aristotle says, in one of his writings, he says, happiness really is not about the fun or enjoyment you get or pleasure you get out of doing something today, or now. Something really delicious you eat. This is not happiness. Or a day when you're happy. Happiness is not that. Happiness is when you reach a point in your life, you look back and you feel happy about the way you lived your life. And I'm not talking in secular terms. I mean, you feel that this life that you live has brought you to a place where you will have salvation in Akhirat. And if we are not sure about that, fine. If we are living a state between hope and fear, good for us. Good for us. If we don't know that, fine. But let's not fool ourselves thinking that everything is fine because we did whatever we wanted to do. No, that's not necessarily happiness. But generally a person, when he or she lives a life and has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in front of his eyes, knows that whether he did the right thing or the wrong thing. Every person is knowledgeable of what he or she does, right? Please say salawat. One day the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing in one of the alleys or streets of Medina, and he saw a few young people lifting weights. And the Prophet stood there for just a little while, and so probably they noticed the Holy Prophet is there. So the Prophet asked him, "What are you doing? There's a time you say, "What are you doing?" The other time is when you say what you are doing, meaning like, what is your intention? What's your goal? Why are you doing it? But he asked, "What are you doing?" So they said, "We are using our strengths, right? Each person, to figure out who is the strongest amongst us. Who's the strongest?" That's why we're lifting weights. Like one person picks up 50 kilograms, another 70 kilograms, 100 kilograms, like keep going up. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "Do you want to know who is the strongest?" They said, "Of course." So I'm thinking, probably somebody, when he heard the Prophet say that, he thought probably the Holy Prophet is going to point out, for example, this person is the strongest, or which one is the strongest? No, I don't know what was going on over there. But they said, yes, we would like to know who is the strongest. And the Prophet said, this is about this other side of intellect, which is supposed to be, the power that controls your desires. The Holy Prophet said, the strongest is one who, when he loves something, he doesn't fall into sin because of it. Strongest person is one that he gets interested in something. This interest or this love or this, desire does not lead him to commit sins. And denial of truth. So the money on one side and accepting Imam Ali as the Khalifa on the other side, which one to choose? Like Umar ibn Sa'd, you'll be given the power over the city of Ray, right? If you kill Hussein, or you refuse and you lose the power, the political, position, the office, the governorship or whatever. When he's angry, his anger doesn't lead him outside of the truth. And he doesn't lie or badmouth others because of anger. And when he becomes powerful, reaches a position of authority, doesn't demand or take more than his right. Just new definition of who's more powerful. But the word powerful generally would mean aqwa. Word powerful means physical power, physical strength. We often ignore that the real strength is not this. The real strength is when you are out there saving someone's life. When you are more in control of your desires. Because that really requires or demands far more self-control, far more inner strength to resist. Far more inner strength to control your anger. Lot of self-awareness to be in the moment, to realize, this word is not to be said. This is not. This action is not right at this place. It takes a lot of self-control. Or when you have authority, that this choice would be seen would be called abuse of power. For example, I should not do that. Abuse means trampling over the rights of another person. Knowing the limit. Adab, what is adab? There are a huge number of sayings and ahadith just from Mawla Kainat Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala. Only about the topic of adab. And what is adab? Adab means knowing your limits. Knowing your limits. How much you can say, what you can say, how much power you have. Being a human being, just knowing your limits. Going beyond your limit is not adab. You trespass. I mean, especially, adab is not in relation to other people. Adab in relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That what am I? I am a person, I am a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? I am weak. I need help for everything. So just because I have something today, that shouldn't make me proud. I really can, maybe it's gone. An hour later, nothing. I have health, okay. Who gave it to me? For how long can I keep my health? Any promise of that? No. Nothing. Knowing one's limits, knowing that whatever you have, if education, how did you get education? Who gave us the mind? Who gave us opportunities? Being, for example, in this part of the world, having the opportunity to go to college, millions of people out there who don't receive education, don't get the chance to educate themselves. Even within America. For outsiders, well, they have challenges. Some excel even without these opportunities. So for me to be proud because I have these resources or something, it's not justifiable, right? Muharram is a good time for learning our aqaid, correcting our behaviors, both sides, Why? Because these discussions, whether they are intellectual discussions or they are moral advice, they affect us deeply. I think you know why. Because our hearts are softer, broken, our hearts are saddened. We are lamenting, already in a state of grief. Where this, and the Hadith Qudsi said, Ana indal munkasiratu qulubuhum wal mundarisatu quburuhum. I, Hadith Qudsi, you know what Hadith Qudsi means, right? Hadith Qudsi is a word of Allah spoken to Prophet, which is not in Quran. Hadith Qudsi. How do we know about it? The Prophet told Ahlul Bayt, they told us. Ana, I, God, am with or near those whose hearts are broken. And the munkasiratu qulubuhum wal mundarisatu quburuhum, and those whose graves are also mundaris. Mundaris means broken and lost, forgotten. I am with those people. Muharram is the time when the greatest tragedy happened to the dearest people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For us to call ourselves Muslims and to read about the Holy Prophet and see how much he loved Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and then to see what happened to Sayyid al-Shuhada in Karbala, obviously we feel, a huge burden of responsibility on us. That, first of all, the time when the news broke that Karbala has happened, that Imam Hussein has been killed, people, as the farther the news got, people were crying and grieving and lamenting. In Kufa, in Basra, in Baghdad, other places, other cities, in Hijaz, other places, those who loved the Holy Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Well, now it's more than 1,000 years, 1,300 or so years now passed. And our Imam has been forced into ghaibat. Isn't this really a tragedy for us, for Islam, for the Holy Prophet? One by one, how they treated the Holy Prophet and his family. To know about this, to feel this pain and this grief in our hearts, it makes us responsible, makes us more aware, that it calls us to know and study our deen very carefully, right? Muharram is the revival of deen, and Muharram is the revival of Ghadir. The Qiyam and the uprising of Sayyid al-Shuhada was meant to revive the issue of Ghadir. Ghadir, which was an event where the Holy Prophet gave perhaps the biggest speech of his life, longest and most, comprehensive, covering everything, most important issues. And announcing the issue of succession of Amir al-Mu'minin Islam, that which led to 3 days of the ceremonies of Bay'at to Amir al-Mu'minin in the hot weather in the desert. The Holy Prophet took upon himself for this journey 3 months before his death. 3-4 months, right? Last Hajj. And then returning in that hot desert, stopped everybody and performed this and gave this speech over there. And for people to come out and do Bay'at of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. And then just 3 months from that point, Zul Hajj, right? Muharram, Safar, end of Safar, the Prophet passes away. 2 months later, the same Khilafat for which they had given their Bay'at to Amir al-Mu'minin, nobody is coming out to support Imam Ali. Nobody is coming out to question the decision of Saqifa. And that led to a chain of events that got worse and worse and worse. 25 years later, people are frustrated and lost and confused, and they feel their rights have been taken away, exploited. Everything is gone. Everything is lost. Out of desperation, they march towards Medina from everywhere, from Misr, from Iraq, from other places, Mecca, whatever, Yemen. Thousands of people just basically they came into Medina and took over Medina. The third Khalifa was killed, and then, they asked Imam Ali to become the Khalifa. No, Now, there's a difference between the Holy Prophet ﷺ telling people, Alastu awla bikum min anfusikum? Do I not hold authority over yourselves more than you have on yourselves? And they say, yes, Ya Rasulullah, you have more authority. You have wilayat over us more than our wilayat upon ourselves. What is our wilayat upon ourselves? Like I control my hands, it's wilayat, right? I exercise power in my body, right? The Prophet said, Alastu awla bikum, do I not have more authority over you than you have upon yourself? On your body and soul and aql and everything. Is that not the case? He said, yes. Then he said, "Faman kuntum mawlahu fahadha aliyun mawlahu." Then whoever accepts me as his wali and master and mawla, this Ali alayhi salatu wasalam is his mawla. Allahumma wali man walahu. This interesting point in this declaration, this announcement of Holy Prophet was that the Prophet is not asking for anything. He's ordering something, announcing it. He did not say, this Ali is my, so and so, he's a good person. He didn't ask them, do you want him to be your leader? Or he didn't say, okay, if you believe in him as a leader, then come and vote for him. No. Whoever I am the master, Ali is the master. Oh Allah, bless those, love those who love Ali, right? And curse those, be an enemy of those who have any grudges against Ali. Wansur man nasarahu, help those who help Ali. Wakhdhul man khadalahu, those who go against the path of Ali, abandon them. He just made an announcement and took oath from them. The difference between a candidate that presents himself for election and a person and a wali or mawla or imam or rasul Allah appoints upon people, they really don't have any choice. Why? Because either they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or they don't. Either they believe in risalat of the Holy Prophet or they don't. If they do, the only choice they have is to accept the imamat and wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. It was very clear. But just a couple of months later, they abandoned the whole thing. Karbala happened. Now you see the importance of this issue of Qadir. Karbala happened because the Ummah took the wrong course. They betrayed the Holy Prophet. Right? They went in the opposite direction. They forced their opinions, and the Prophet had said, do I not have wilayat upon yourself more than you have? But they exercised their own wilayat upon themselves instead of allowing and accepting the wilayat of Rasulullah upon themselves. They basically lied in Qadir. People lied to the Holy Prophet, lied on his face, and come back and then betray and break their promise. The result was countless losses, material, lives, and the loss of knowledge and loss of values, Islamic values. All of that led to, for example, basically back to the same culture of Jahiliyyah in society. Culture of oppression, which continues to this day. Might is right. Yazid is Khalifa because he has got power in his hands. He has to be right. And there are those who subscribe to this logic of force, logic of control. We ourselves have to check our own views, in our families. Do we apply the logic of force in our families? Or do we apply the logic of haqq? Who is right? Is my child right or I am right? Is my wife right or I am right? Who is right? Whose position in this issue, whatever that may be, is morally correct? What is the best choice? If I am a person who believes in might is right, whatever I may say, what I really believe in, back of my mind, my subconscious, what is my belief system? Abu Sufyan believed might is right. Fir'aun believed might is right. How do we know that? Abu Sufyan, I'm just wrapping up for tonight. There's so much to talk about related this issue. But Abu Sufyan, finally the Holy Prophet, the 10,000 strong force, he came to liberate Makkah. Abu Sufyan with Abbas and Abdul Muttalib, who was still in Makkah at that time, Abbas Abdul Muttalib had come to Medina and gone back. So Abbas, the uncle of Prophet, he brought Abu Sufyan out on one of the hilltops around the city of Makkah to see these lights, these camp, huge, 10,000 people. So Abbas advised him, it's time for you to surrender. Time for you to surrender. So Abu Sufyan comes to see the Holy Prophet. In the darkness of this night, he comes. And he says, so the Prophet asked him, "Is it not time for you to believe?" He said, "Yes." Now, the interesting thing is, the reason that he gives, why he believes in God, Allah, is that He is the Rabb. La ilaha illallah. The reason says that if my deen was right, you would not be winner today. That's the reason he gives. If my gods were right, I would be the winner. Because you are the winner tonight, you are right. That's the logic of Abu Sufyan. Whoever overpowers the other person, whoever takes control, whoever wins is right. Right? US invaded Iraq, and if US had come out as a winner, the US decisions were right. And if they lost, they were wrong. This is the logic of materialists. Fir'aun had the same logic. What did he say to Musa alayhi salam, right? He was chasing Musa alayhi salam, and Prophet Musa crossed the sea. Then Fir'aun said, "Okay, let's go, follow him," and water closed upon them. Started drowning. He said, "I believe in Lord of Moses and Harun." But does that mean he really believed in Musa and Harun, the Rabb of Musa and Harun? Well, one could say that, he saw that now he's drowning. He said it to save his life. But look more deeply into this. He saw that, okay, if I was right till an hour ago, 10 minutes ago, I was right. I was the winner. Now they're the winner, now they are right. This is the logic of materialists. Fir'aun, Yazid, Muawiyah, Amr ibn As, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, and today's criminals, they have the same logic. Just listen to what they say, how they threaten other countries in United Nations. We will bomb this country, we'll bring hell to them, we'll destroy them, we'll whatever, with overwhelming force. Basically, clearly saying we have these bombs, we have this, we have that, articulating it, verbalizing it, clearly saying we have more force than them, so we will overpower them. This is the logic of Abu Sufyan, the logic of Muawiyah, the logic of all these criminals who are ruling many countries in the Middle East and other places. Well, we have to see we are living in a world where the logic of control, logic of force prevails. For us to maintain our sanity, to be rational beings, we have to be very careful how we live our lives, how we make our decisions. It should be based solely on haqq and khair. That's it. Haqq means I need to be very humble, because haqq does not change. No matter how many opinions exist among people, no matter what the majority says, no matter I am alone or all people agree with me, but the reality of whatever it is, the reality will not change. It is how it is. And I need to be humble enough to understand it and accept it. Because sooner or later I will have to do that. Perhaps it will be too late. There will be no way to make up for all the time lost and all the resources and life and whatever I have been given, right? It's better and khair. I must choose, make the right choices in life, correct moral decisions, define correct meaning of salvation for myself. What is success? What is salvation? If I don't do that, it will be really bad. Let's come to back to the environment we are in, Muharram, and these days we are commemorating right now, and ask ourselves, I was listening to one of the speeches of Sayyid al-Fali, a famous Iraqi scholar, and I'll also share another account that I also personally, Sayyid was saying that he was visiting Colorado, perhaps a few years ago, and he visited one of the Islamic centers run by Iraqi brothers and sisters. And he says that he saw a white American Caucasian lady cleaning the Islamic center, cleaning the bathrooms, sweeping the floor, and every day coming early, staying all the way till the end of the program. And he noticed that every day she's coming, she looks like a very educated, someone respectable person. There's a time when somebody, really has, this is what his occupation is. It doesn't look like this person would be doing this, And all occupations are good, whatever Allah places us, wherever He places us. But I'm saying, so he asked, who is this lady? They said, well, why don't you ask her? She has an interesting story. He says salam, and so she says, I was a commander in Iraq, in US Army. And so my story was that I married this person's name, her name was Mary, and her husband was Steve. And I was posted, my posting was in Iraq, somewhere not far from the city of Karbala, which later she said. And I married 5 years ago, and my husband wanted to have kids. And I couldn't get pregnant. And I went to the doctor, tried different ways. In America has all these options, different things, everything. The doctor said, you just cannot become pregnant. You just, you just cannot become pregnant. Simple. And now, one marriage according to the law of this country is allowed. And I didn't know what to do. But my job is such, I'm not an ordinary soldier, I have a very serious responsibility. So I just went. And then, this is the year, she said, this is the year when US had invaded Iraq, right? And it's after Ashura, Saddam's government fell. And the first Arba'in happened. And now millions of people are just coming from all over the world, walking into Iraq, on foot, barefoot, walking hundreds of miles into Iraq. And she said, I was just standing there with all my, soldiers, everybody, and I was Iraqi translators with me. I said, who are these people? What are they coming here for? They said, well, they are coming to see Hussein. So she said, who is Hussein? He said, they are coming to ask Imam Hussein for, for shifa of their maris, for their hajat, coming because of love they have for Imam Hussein. So she said, well, does Hussein give them all this? He said, yes, whatever they ask them. So she said, if I ask him something, he'll give me too. He said, yes. There's no limit of Muslim, non-Muslim, Shia, Sunni, whatever. Anybody comes, ask Hussein, he gives them. So she said, then how can I meet him? He said, oh, come along. So they come all the way up to the Haram, this big shrine of Imam Hussain al-Islam, which is the golden dome. And so now she's overwhelmed. Who is this man? What kind of a place does he have? So he said, you have to go inside, to go inside you have to cover your head. So she said, they brought something for her, she covers herself, so goes in. And this beautiful place, Inshallah, if you've all been there, if you have not, go there. If you have been there, go again and again and again. So she goes over there and sees this Zari. He said, this Zari, people are asking this Zari? What? He said, yes, this is the Zari. This is where he is. This is where he is. So she goes and holds the Zari, right? And she begins asking Hussein, I want to have children. Give me. So see, this moment, this thing passes. She comes back to the United States. Not very long later, just few weeks from that time, she figures out she is pregnant. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
So she asked her doctor, so are you sure? He said, yes, you are pregnant. So how? He said, I have no clue how you became pregnant. Then he started scratching his head. He said, maybe Jesus gave you this child. She said, no, not Jesus. Hussein ibn Ali. He gave me this baby. Right? She becomes a Muslim Shia, her husband becomes a Shia, her mother becomes a Shia, all her family. And she said, I will be a Khadima of Imam Hussein from this point in my life till the end. You are sitting in a place, you are not sitting in an Islamic center, you are sitting in Karbala right now. And no matter who's speaking here, but you see yourself in Karbala before the Zari of Sayyid al-Shuhada. And you should hold the Zari of Sayyid al-Shuhada and ask Imam Hussein for Nijat, to pray and make dua for your Nijat. Because this is the day when Imam Hussein stepped on Karbala. Most believe 2nd of Muharram. Some believe, the Inuri historian says 1st of Muharram, Imam Hussein. The second was a Thursday. According to historians, the Imam al-Islam appeared in Karbala. Who is Hussein? Imam Hussein al-Islam is the grandson of Holy Prophet. Like historians, muhaddiseen, they narrate that whenever Imam Hussein would come to Rasulullah, he would hold him, embrace him against his chest. Jazabahu. He would hold him tightly against his chest. One day Imam Hussein came to the Holy Prophet, he held him on his chest and then gave him to Ali. He said, I'm sick. He said, Ali, hold him. The Rasulullah got up and bent down and started kissing Imam Hussein alayhi salam. His body, his chest, his head, his legs, started kissing him. And while crying. So Imam Hussein looks at the Prophet, with all these tears in his eyes, kissing him all over. He asked, Ya Rasulullah, why do you cry? And this way you have never kissed me before. And the Holy Prophet said, Oh Hussein, أُقَبِّلُ مَوْضِعَ السُّيُوفِ مِنْ بَدَرٍ. I'm kissing the places where you will be hit with swords. Whichever part of your body will be hit with swords, I'm kissing that place. He must have been kissing the neck of Imam Hussein under his chin and under his neck, on his head, where the stones would hit him. His chest, where all those arrows came from the front and went all the way to his back. 2nd of Muharram, Imam alayhi salam arrives. Now Imam alayhi salam, when he arrived at the place, a messenger came from Kufa. Everybody waited to see what he brings. He had brought a letter from Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad to Hur, ordering Hur to hold Hussein away from water and not let him go anywhere. Hold him there firmly. And when that happened, Hur said, this is the message I got. I cannot allow you to move any further. According to this narration, Imam Hussein said, let me move just a little bit more. So they just straddled a little bit more further. At one point, according to historians, Imam al-Islam, his markab, his horse just stopped still. Stopped moving. So they brought another horse for Imam. He got him that horse. Now according to this account, he changed his horses a few times. But they would not move. So Imam asked him, what place is this? Because this is Nainawa, some said this is Ghazaliya, the Shatt al-Furat, different names they gave us. No, is there, and there must be another name for this place. Because Hussein had heard the name from his childhood. He said, it is also called Karbala. Allahumma a'udhu bika min karbin wa bala. Allah, I seek refuge to you from karb and bala, affliction and pain. And then he said, I remember my father going to Siffin, passing through this place, Karbala. And he got down and he said, this is a place where they will camp. This is the place they will be killed. This is a place they will lose their children. And people ask, who, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? And Ali said, a group from the family of Holy Prophet will come and camp in this place and they will be killed here. And he said, I am that person. So come down from your horses and set up your tents over here, because this is the place our young men will be killed. This is the place we will be denied water. This is the place where our children will be slaughtered. Imam said, did not say our children will be killed, he said our children will be beheaded. Perhaps he was referring to Ali al-Asghar. I would say the Holy Prophet, the Imam Hussain was asking Abbas to bring everybody down. Abbas carefully bring them down from their horses. These women and children, they are not used to these thorns in the desert. They are not used to hunger. They are not used to pain. They are not used to any mistreatment or disrespect. Because obviously, among them is Zainab, among them is Ruqayya, among them is Kulthum. Who is Abbas? Abbas is the one who has been taking them, bringing them all the way from Medina. Abbas was so careful about the hijab and hurmat of Zainab. The day when her father was struck with a sword in Masjid al-Kufa, no one saw Zainab crying outside. No one did. Everyone was careful. Zainab was a very special person, daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen, right? Ahlul Isma. Very, very special person. Now everyone is very careful. But I will say, Ya Abul Fadl, a time will come where there will be no one left. Neither Hussein, nor you, nor Ali al-Akbar. No one will be left. And then Zainab will be taken through the bodies in the desert. And Zainab will look at the body of her brother, beheaded body, trampled with horses. And Zainab will make herself fall from the camel and crawl to her brother's mayyit, and janazah will be in the shape and form that she cannot even recognize. Are you my brother? Allahumma taqabbal minna hadha al-qurban. Allahumma ajjal li waliyyi al-faraj. Allahumma ajjal li waliyyi. Allahumma ajjal li waliyyi. Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna wa'afina wa'afina. اللهم اقض حوائج المؤمنين والمؤمنات اللهم اشف كل مريض بجاه محمد